Welcome to part 3 of the restoration of this electric transport moped. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, go and watch parts 1 and 2. The whole thing will make a lot more sense then. Otherwise, without further ado, I give you part 3. Need to keep the motivation levels up a little bit here, so I think I'd like to start painting some of the bits that I've prepared. So this is one of the front fenders. I've brushed all the rust off it, I've flattened it out with a hammer. Yeah, it's a long way from perfect, but I think what we're going here for is something that's mechanically very, very good and looks tidy. It's not going to look new, and I don't mind that. I don't really want it to look new either, because if you have something that's completely restored, the first time you take it out and do something with it, you know, you get a stone chip in it, or you crash into something, and it's it might just be a little dent or a little scratch or something like that, but you've spoilt the whole thing. I'm much more in favour of having things that you can use on a daily basis and that, you know, take care of them, but you don't have to be too particular. So if I can get the lid off this paint tin. There we go. It's been a while since that was off. Is it still? Ugh. Yeah. It's still runny. It's good. Silver paint and black paint. About half a can of this and a little bit of that. I think what we're going to try doing is mixing the two together. The small details, I think I want to be, well, I know I want them grey, and you can't get, I can't get grey hammerite. Hammerite's about the only thing that I can really get that works. You can get silver, and you can get black, and you can get green, and I think if you really try, if you order it, you can get red as well, but I've never managed that. I want a sort of a dark grey for some bits of the frame and the fenders and mud guards or whatever they are. So I think we'll try mixing some black in with some silver and see if we can get a nice sort of dark grey colour. And what's the worst that can happen? We waste a bit of paint. Or some bits can fall in. Oh yeah, that's exactly what happened. So, fish the bits out. There we go. We're now bit free. Let me go and do something with that. Okay. Attempt number 2 to mix paint without bits. I don't know. Oh, stop. There we go. I don't know how much it's going to take. Probably not that much, because silver's a very light colour and obviously black's a very dark colour. Obviously I've got more silver than I've got black, so that's a good thing. The only downside of this is that I'll never be able to match this colour again. So, yeah, probably not ideal from that point of view. I will say this, the silver is, if you can see in there, the silver paint is eating the black paint. The black paint's not really doing anything. Let's go with that. Let's see what we get. Still very, very silver. Alright, let's put it all in. It's gone a little bit gloopy. Or, yeah, what was that? Skin? No. is as silver as it was when we started. So everything I thought I knew about mixing paint from when I was, you know, that tall, apparently doesn't apply to hammerite. Interesting. It's gone a tiny little bit greyish. Odd. Very strange. Okay, so I think all I've managed to achieve is get rid of some black paint and increase the quantity of silver paint that I have. So, yeah. Not the most successful thing I've ever done. So that begs the question, what am I going to paint these? I can't paint them black now because I don't have any black paint. Well, I was going to buy some more. I don't want them silver because that's just not a good look, I don't think. The trouble with silver is that it's too much of a light bright colour. So you get a tiny little bit of rust on something that's painted silver, it looks terrible. If you get a tiny little bit of rust on something that's painted grey, or dark grey or dark green or black or something like that, it doesn't really notice. So yeah, black maybe. Alright, I'll buy some more black paint. Well, we learned something there. Probably a question that nobody really wanted to know the answer to, but something nonetheless. Alright, I'm still curious. So now we know what happens when you put black paint into silver paint. There's still a little bit of black in here. What happens when you put silver paint into black paint? Does it just turn silver? It can't. It can't stay black because black doesn't appear to do anything. I don't know. Let's find out. About that much? Yeah. Oh, and the answer is, if you put, that's actually a really good colour. If you put black paint into silver paint, the black paint turns silver. If you put silver paint into black paint, a little bit of silver into a lot of black, it goes grey. That's a sort of a anthracite grey, maybe. And I like that. Yeah, I think that might well work. Obviously I'll have to get some more black paint and put silver into the black, but I think we're onto something. This is the inside of one of the front fenders. Let's get it on the rusty bit as well. See what that looks like. Because now I'm painting bare metal, which is silver coloured with sort of silver coloured paint. Not so easy to see what's going on. Yeah, the light's getting it. But yeah, I think it needs to be mixed a bit better. Because that black that was left on the tin, it's old paint, so it's going to be gloopy. But I think that'll work. I'm going to paint the rest of the inside of this thing and let it sit up overnight and make a decision from there. This did eventually dry, and yeah, it's fine. It doesn't flake off, it doesn't rub off. There are a couple of marks in there, that's why I rubbed a bit off when it wasn't fully dry. It took a long time, but now it's dry. So I refuse to learn anything from anything, really. I'm going to attempt to mix paint again. So we've got a new tin. This is just black. And then what we learnt from the last time we tried to mix paint here is that you don't put black in with silver to make the silver darker, you put silver in with black to make the black lighter. And that, I don't know, that's backwards in my mind, but yeah, apparently that's how it works with this paint. So silver is somewhere. Let me find that. Okay, here's the silver. This is silver that already has black mixed in it with, but yeah, it's, everything's getting mixed. Got the premium sterling stick. So we're going silver. Do I want to mix that first? No. Silver into black. Oi! Yeah. That's a problem. There wasn't as much room in there as I thought there was. This could get messy. Pour that out. And try to do something about that. Okay, apparently I tipped out all the silver paint that I just tipped in, so we're going to tip in some more silver paint. Something like that. Make some more mess. And then see what we get. Yeah. We get black. There we go. That's greyish. Yeah, that's nice. That's really good. I think we need to mix it a little bit more thoroughly. And that, I think, is an excellent opportunity to make even more mess. This is what I mean about make a bigger mess. Let's make a whisk out of some wire. That's one bit. We want it about maybe that long, and then see if we can get another piece to go the other way. I have no idea what I'm doing. Does it show? I really wanted that to go over that. I thought it did go. One's got to go over the other one. And at the moment they don't seem to want to do... Oh, maybe that one's going to go over that one. And that can go up a little bit there. And up a little bit there. Something like... I don't know. Will that work? And then that, be nice if that bit went round there. Okay. Yeah. Those bits are... They just seem to want to point at in the same direction, but I think that'll work. And one whisk for mixing paint. Maybe. Low speed, this could get very messy very fast. Let's try high speed. Oh yeah! Yeah. It doesn't really want to mix. I don't know why. It's the same sort of paint, it should just mix. Or so I thought. Ah yeah. Well, I think we'll paint with it and see what happens, see what it looks like. But before I can paint anything, I need to do something about this unholy mess. Almost exactly the same colour. That was unexpected. Yeah, it's back on the bench. I couldn't leave it alone. Thinking about it, I really don't like the idea of holding this thing together with 2 bolts, 3 bolts. Maybe 2, because one of the remaining ones wasn't great either. So I started looking for replacements and I couldn't find any easily. So I thought, well, it doesn't have to be a bolt. It can be a threaded bar. with a nut on each end. And I think there's something to be said for having 4 bolts on it, because then it's being drawn together evenly all the way around. The danger isn't that, well, the problem wouldn't be that one of the ends just spontaneously falls off because the bolts are let go. I think the problem would be that it gets uneven wear, and I'm not an expert on electric motors, but it was made with 4 bolts. It should have 4 bolts in it, and it should have even pressure holding the whole thing together. That's always kind of a good principle to work from. If it had been 3 bolts evenly spaced, that's fine. But now you've got 1, 2, 3 bolts, and one over there not doing anything. I think it might have a tendency to rack it. I don't know. I'm waffling. I'm going to put this all threaded bar. That's American. I don't know what it's called in English. Yang stong in Swedish, but that doesn't help. I'm still waffling. So that's going to go all the way through. One of the nuts I'm going to try and make captive by peening the end over so that stays on, so that it's a bit easier to handle when you're taking it apart and putting it back together. I don't have a welder here. If I did, I'd just weld the nut to the thread. But I don't, so I can't. Yeah, that'll do nicely. So that's not going anywhere. I've made these just a little bit longer as well, and that's so that I can put washers in there. There weren't any washers, I don't know why. No. This sort of thing I think would normally have washers, it didn't. I like washers, I think they're worth having in there. It worked without, it'll work even better with. Yeah, we'll say that. And then I think we'll go with lock nuts on the other end. Heap at 8. Men hörru, inte nog med att du är i vägen. The finished article. I do feel a lot happier about that now. I also did do the other thing I said I wasn't going to do. I did take this pulley off and looked at the bearing, and the bearing was fine. What I didn't do was take the shaft out of the whole thing, because then I have to get the whole thing back together, and it's kind of a headache that I just don't want. But it's got all the bolts in it, everything's tight, it's got even pull, it's been clamped together evenly all around, so I do think that's better. Now it can go on the pile of things that are finished. The pile at the moment is just this. What I've got here are the steering rods. One goes from the handlebars to the one side, to one front wheel, and the other one goes right across from the front wheel to the other front wheel. Yeah. I broke the end of this one, and that was partly because I wasn't thinking what I was doing, and that's because logically, when you think about it, one of these is a right hand thread, one of these is a left hand thread. This is a left hand thread, and I just didn't think about it. The other reason I broke it was that I thought it would have been a solid rod, and it wasn't. There's a hole all the way through, so it's not actually all that strong. And it was all seized and rusted and everything like that. So this, for some strange reason, this isn't metric. It's nearly but not quite M14, which means that it's, I believe, 9/16. And not only is it 9/16, it's 9/16 fine pitch. So the solution here would be to weld a bolt. Someone's already done it on this end, so somebody's already broken this end. The solution would be to weld a bolt on this end. Cut these remaining threads off and weld a bolt here. But then I'm looking for a 9/16 fine pitch left-handed thread bolt. And yeah, lick a till. Oh, that's Swedish for good luck. Good luck. So I think I've had a bit of a think about this. I think what I'm going to do here, I've got enough threads to get the ball jointy thing. I'm still trying to turn it the wrong way. Get the ball jointy thing back on this end. Tighten that down. This on this end is a normal bolt. This is a 9/16 fine pitch right hand thread, normal thread bolt. I can get these. So I think I'm just going to ignore the adjustment on this end, tighten this down, and weld a longer bolt on this end. So I've got the same amount of attachment, the same amount of adjustment, but on one end instead of on both ends, and there's no real reason that you need it on both ends. I can't see a good reason. This end is fighting me. This is loose, but this nut is not loose. I think I'm going to end up splitting the nut off it. Well, actually no, I don't need to bother about that because I'm going to change that bolt out. Okay, that's less of a problem then. This one, on the other hand, this end is loose. This end not loose. So I don't know. I might not need any more adjustment than what I can pour out of this end. So yeah, I'm probably going to leave that. That's quite a long way out as it is. And the threads are, this is the left hand end again. The threads are not great. So I think I'm going to leave that. I've tried everything. I've tried heating it, I've tried hitting it with hammers, I've tried, you know, everything I can think of. Not coming off there. So we might just get away with this, because none of this stuff is available. We're at the dark hole that is the back of the machine now. The motor sits in here, and this plate sits here. And the problem here is that the plate is attached to this. The plate here is attached with these self-tapping screws that go right into the straight into the frame here, and I think 2 or 3 of these hold, and the rest they just rotate in the hole because the holes have got egged out. So I've got a solution for this, and the solution is quite obviously a new toy, because that solves everything. So these are rivet nuts. This is from BLT, this is it's kind of like Halfords or Harbour Freight, depending upon what part of the world you're in. So it's cheap, I'll give them that. The packaging is, yeah, the packaging is horribly cheap. And we want M5, and they haven't marked the, that looks like M5. So these are like rivets, but they're threaded, and they go in with this thing. Well, that's just lazy. Oh yeah. Why are you stuck in there? Yeah. Ta-da! It should just wind out, but, you know, China. But it works. And then we can put a screw in here. One of these. One of those. Not a self-tapper. That'll work nicely. Alright, I'm going to do the rest of these. I think it's going to take a while. Yeah, they're all in, all the way around. Something I discovered with these is that they're made of, I don't know, I think cheese is harder in comparison. So if you put them in too hard, you strip all of the threads out. So yeah, go China. Also drilled a couple of holes, one here and one here, because when I took the plate off, it peed water out of these bottom holes. I don't know, this profile here is closed, so that the water must have got into the top hole somehow. I don't know, but now it can get out. And then if there aren't any holes in the bottom rail, I'll drill holes in the bottom rail when I get this outside and can turn it upside down. Priority now is get the motor and the rear swing arm and everything back in, and if I do that I can move it around, because right now it's sitting where it's sitting. So I need to do something about painting this up in here. I'll probably use a hammerite on this, because it won't be seen, and it's a little bit better. The problem, there's always a problem. The problem with this is that the old paint, which is flaking off, I don't know what it is. It's almost some sort of plastic coating, and chemicals won't touch it, or at least the chemicals I have won't touch it. Tried it with a hot air gun, doesn't melt, you can't scrape it off. It's really hard to get off with a wire brush, so it's going to be fun. I think what I really need is paint stripper, but paint stripper doesn't exist anymore. If you go to a paint shop and try to buy paint stripper, they give you the stuff that you use to unblock kitchen sinks, and it does nothing. So yeah, I guess we're going to be scraping. This is the next problem, and I think it's arguably the biggest problem. This is the front subframe, and it's not happy. So just looking at it, here, for example, 445 millimeters, and here we have 440. So something here is kicked over, possibly that one, possibly both of them. Over here, looking from the top, that end is straight, as it should be. This end is, that's not the best straight edge in the world, but there's daylight through there. And then there's a lot of daylight there. So this, front axle, I guess you'd call it, is bent in there, and it's also bent up. This has been repaired. Somebody's welded it with a stick welder with a stainless steel rod, and that hasn't really worked very well. It's been repaired here. They've blown a big hole in it here. Let's get something better to point with. Yeah. There's a big hole in here, and that's not the worst of it. We roll it over. This is where the fun really starts. There's a big hole here, and a lot of, I don't know what that is. Some would call it weld, I wouldn't. And here, this is completely cracked. And, I don't know if it shows up, but this is where the twist is. And it's bent from here. So I don't know what's happened. I don't know if someone's crashed with it or if it's just given up. The unfortunate thing is, if I got this after it had just started to deteriorate and come apart, I could have welded it up without losing all the geometry. But it's way too late now. If I cut these off, I don't know where the end was, because the end's been blown away by the welding. So I'm going to have to figure out the lengths of these bits. I can't just cut them off and measure them and make new ones. And the other thing is, it's been sitting wonky for so long that these, I guess the people who make this call it suspension, I'd call it more vibration damping. These are kicked over to the side. And that's because the whole subframe has been wonky for so long that they've become wonky because of that. So I thought, well, I'll just get a new one. Yeah, that's not happening. My options are either find a parts machine and take this bit off it and use that, or repair this one. I'm not really in favour of taking apart another machine. I'm not really in favour of taking apart another machine, because that's just, you know, all of these are repairable, unless they've been squashed or something stupid like that. So I think the best thing, well, what I'm going to try to do is repair this one. If it doesn't work, then I'll have to get another one off another machine, and then I've got a big pile of spare parts that I have to store somewhere. But that's what we're going for. And I'm going to start by just taking everything apart cleaning it up and seeing what we've got to work with. I think I'm going to end up replacing all of this, but I need to get the measurements off it first before I cut it up. So I'll take it apart, clean it up, see where we are. That's gloopy. Grease and water. But there's more grease than water, so that's good. See what we've got. That's not the right size. See what else we've got. Nope. Nearly, but no. Nope. Absolutely not. Not on your life. Not even close. No. Don't even know what that... Oh, it's one of those, but a lot smaller. Nope. 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 Open your beer. Take a valve stem out. Not really, but it's in that sort of size. Nope. I guess we have to hit it with a punch. Didn't want to do that. This was the closest, but no. Can you take that off for me? Oh right, yeah. No thumbs. It pains me to do this just as much as I'm sure it pains you to watch it. But what are you going to do? It's not the right way of doing it. But, you know, I've got a lot of tools, I don't have all the tools. And how often do I take apart something like this? Yeah, doesn't happen often. Let's try abusing it in a different way. There we go. Now what have we got? We've got a bearing. Strange. I assumed it would have bushings in here. Oh, don't fall off. Get out of it. Come on. Nope. Nope. Well, there we go. She's loose. One of those. I hope that's good, because these are a pain. This bearing is machined to the bearing surface, which theoretically comes out, but yeah, let's just say they don't come out very easily. Seems okay. It's not like it's really spinning very fast. You know, it's the steering. It's going to go left and right. Ooh, look at that. Ooh. Right, I need something to dig with. Many different flavours of grease. Really do need to clean this out, because I'm going to need to weld on this. Yeah, I'm going to cook all this. Alright, I'm going to dig at that for probably quite a long time. I got a bit smarter on this side. Got myself a little container to put the grease in. Should have done it on the other side. Oh well. The bushings, or the whatever these things are, what passes for suspension, I want to get these off. These are kicked over to one side because the subframe has been wonky so long. So I think I want to put these on the back of the machine. They're the same front to back. I put these on the back, then I've got nice straight bushings on the front. They're not that bad, but I want to get rid of all of the variables that are going to trip us up. And for some reason, these are coming loose. I didn't think that was going to happen. They didn't look like they were going to come loose, but they are. So that's good. I need a set of ratcheting ring spanners. I've got some, but not a complete set. Oh, it's still stuck in there, but I did not expect that nut to come off so easily. Hammer abuse. Yeah. Yes, no, maybe. yet. Try doubling those up. What I really need to do is hit it straight down, but yeah, it's not really possible. It's a little bit loose. Alright, I'm going to work at that for a while. And once again it just fell out as soon as I turned the camera off. So, she looks, you can see this is kicked over a little bit to the side. So this is pushing the whole subframe sideways. I put these on the back so that it's aligned like that. Yeah, clear as mud. But so it's pushing the rear swing arm a little bit forwards, a little bit backwards. It'll just straighten itself out. So that's, yeah, that's what we'll do. I'm going to get the other side off now. And number 2. Good. Progress is being made. Even if I don't know where this is all going to end up. Well, it's going to end up with a complete functioning machine, but not quite how we're going to get there. That remains to be seen. Cleaned this up a little bit, just trying to work out what's going on. So this is an original weld, and this, if you can call it a weld, that is not original. On this side, I think we might be able to get a measurement here. I think that might be the original length there. The other side isn't going to tell us anything, because it's just blown apart. And that would make sense, because I think at one point this was welded on here. If you flip it up on its side, I think this has become bent that way. Yeah, I'd go with that being a possibility. And then the other side, this unfortunately won't tell us anything because it's just goobered on there. But this side, there's a little bit of extra welding going on there. But if this length from here and along the rail is the same as the length underneath and along the rail, then we know how long the rails are supposed to be. What I'm going to do now, before I cut anything apart, is get all of the information that I can from here. All of the measurements, all of the angles, everything I can right now. And then I'm going to cut everything apart, because it needs to be, I need to cut it all apart and remake it. And then maybe I can work out some more things when I got it apart, but I'm not very hopeful about that. Just a little before and after. I did a smart thing here, I think, and I marked some little grooves in with the grinder, with the cut-off wheel, so I can line up the new box section. See how that works out. I did a less smart thing, and I didn't mark them right and left, and that has to do with how the bearings sit and where the grease nipple sits. But I think I've got it on. I took some pictures of it before I cut it all up. I think these are on the inside, so that's the right side, that's the left side. But that's okay, I can check that. Went to do the parts run. I've got some, what are you going to call that, square tube. This is 35-35, that's what the front subframe is built out of. This is 30-30, and this will fit inside that, and then I can plug weld it and get a nice strong join. New bearings, these are all the bearings that we need to put everything back together. SKF, SKF, that's Svensk Kullager Fabriken, Swedish ball bearing factory. They're good bearings. Picked up some new cutting discs. These are the thin ones. These are supposed to be for stainless steel. I use them for everything. These are cheap. But if you buy the cheap ones that are supposed to be for normal steel, they explode. If you buy the cheap ones for stainless steel, they don't explode. So that's always nice. Paintbrushes, grabbed a whole pile of those. These are really cheap. They're actually really good. They don't drop hairs at all. And I just use them and throw them away. Yeah, I know. But if you clean a paintbrush, it makes a huge mess. So, yeah, what are you going to do? And batteries, I think I want to make that the last pack of non-rechargeable batteries I ever buy, because that's just, you know, throwing money in a lake. New shower head, that's for somebody else. And 2 hammocks. So yeah, that was a successful trip. Don't really like leaving the old homestead, but sometimes you have to. And the last part of the parts run, bushings. These are the bushings that hold the front subframe in the machine. And this one had a bolt stuck in it, and I couldn't get it out, so I took the whole bushing out. I thought, well, that's no problem, I'll just go and buy new bushings. And they're really hard to get hold of, they're an odd size. So I called up the guys who made the machine. They're still making these things. They look a little bit different now, but they're still in business. And they're sending me 2 new ones. So that's brilliant. They should be here in a couple of days. So that's the end of part 3. Part 4 is coming up. When I was filming this, I did eventually work out that, hey, I'm going to need to split this up into smaller sections. So I know that at some point I started trying to work it out, and every so often I'd say, hey, well, you know, now it's the end of this section. And the next time I turned the camera on, I'd say, oh, welcome back to whatever part I thought it was. We're now 3 hours in, and I haven't got to that yet, so yeah, I think this got away from me in terms of how much time it took and how much footage I had. Anyway, so part 4, I'll see you then.